Chapter 17, Monday. On Monday morning, the boys woke up early, gathered their supplies, and headed to school about 15 minutes before the rest of the students started to arrive. George and Harold carried their stalled supplies into the boys' restroom upstairs and placed them inside one of the empty stalls. Finally, they closed the stall door and walked in. If you were standing outside the stall underneath of the door, it appeared as somebody is sitting down in there taking care of business. George and Harold knew that nobody would dare go not near this stall. So it was now the safest place in the school to hide stuff. Soon the students began arriving to the day started pretty much like normal. Mr. Crump marched up and down the hallways, start screaming and making the children cry. Kipper and his creeps stole money and stirred wedgies to the kindergartners, and a general feeling like hopeless and despair filled with morning air. At lunchtime, as usual, the downtrodden kindergartners sat at the table with no food at all. Mr. Crump stomped up to the kindergarten table and started to get angry. How come you just never have any food at lunchtime? He shouted. Said one kid. I'm dying. Oh, said Mr. Crump, as he pulled with his belt as up to his giant stomach. Well, good, he said. It's important to stay fit and healthy like me. In the afternoon, George and Harold asked to excuse that they could use the restroom. They only had about 5 minutes to set things up, so they had to hurry. Harold opened the locked door on the back under a secret restroom stall, and George climbed up on the stalls. Quickly, they sneaked out of the hallway. George Stalled walked over to Kipper's locker, and Harold handed him a long spool of shelf lining paper. Carefully, George placed the paper on top of the lockers and rolled it down to the end. The paper flipped over the edge of the locker tops and rolled the other side. Harold caught it and taped it on the side of the lockers, marking off some measurements with a ruler. George put the padlock that he and Harold had brought the end of the paper, 2 lockers down for Kippers. They were ready. Quickly, they put their supplies back in the restroom stall and locked the door, and hurried back to their classroom. At the end of the day, Miss Kipper walked his locker as usual. He unlocked his lock with a key hanging around his neck. Then he put a padlock on top of his locker, right on the top of the long roll of paper. George and Harold were standing about 6 lockers away, where Harold had taped the end of the paper to the side of the long row of lockers. Now came the tricky part. Harold, as Harold provided cover, George carefully pulled a long roll of paper. The paper began to move. Kipper's padlock, which was just above Kipper's head, padlock, which was just above Kipper's head, moved away. Kipper, George and Harold's padlock, which was 2 walkers away, began moving towards Kipper. Harold had measured everything carefully, so George knew to pull the paper exactly 24 inches. When he finished pulling the new padlock, which directly above Kipper's locker, Kipper had just finished stuffing all of his stolen money in his deep bag. He put his phone on the top shelf of his locker, closed the door. He reached up and grabbed George and Harold's padlock. Next, he closed the door and checked the new padlock for security. "Let's boogie," said Kipper to his buddies, and they started to the gymnasium to get ready for wrestling practice. "This is awesome," said Harold. "Yeah," said George. "We've got a lot of work to do." George and Harold waited patiently until almost everybody had gone home. Some kids were still in the gym, or outside, or in chess class downstairs, but the hallway rooms were empty. George and Harold sneaked over to Kipper's locker, unlocked their padlock, and opened the door. Harold unzipped Kipper's default bag and emptied all the stolen money on the floor. "Wow," said Harold. There must be $1,000 in here." Harold quickly scooped up the stolen cash while George taped on Kipper's phone. "What are you doing with that phone?" asked Harold. "I'm sending a text to Kipper's 3 goons," said George. Once the money was saved and texts were sent, George and Harold put everything back away. It was, with 2 additions. Harold put a Susie Sunshine Friendship Bracelet kit in Kipper's locker, and George placed an envelope beside Kipper's phone. Finally, George grabbed Kipper's padlock from the top of the lockers, closed the door, and locked it with Kipper's own padlock. Then they set everything up so it would.
Breakfast is out here getting cold.
Oh, right. I was making a video.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's alright. Be ready for tomorrow afternoon. "Let's get out of here," Harold said nervously. "Just one more thing," said George. Quickly, the boys sneaked into the gym locker room and left the second envelope inside one of Kipper's snowy shoes. Then they hurried out of school and headed for home. "I kind of wish they could stay and watch fireworks," said Harold. "I think it's better if we're not here," said George. "Things are about to get ugly."